some admin. Apparently the autofocus on the camera was making the videos a bit confusing and seasick inducing, so I've turned it off. If that means I'm a bit blurry, let me know, and it'll be too late to do sod all about it. Yeah, I seem to have had a midlife crisis without noticing, which is worrying. It snuck up on me and was there. Seems to have been there for a while, and was brought to my attention the other night. I went to Oxford with my good friend Emily to see the popular music combo Dan Lassac and Scroobius Pip, who I absolutely adore. And I like Oxford. It's nice, it's pleasant, it looks nice, it has nice things in it. Sorry if that makes me horribly middle class, but you can fuck off. So we went over to Oxford, got a bit lost, wandered around a bit, had a lovely Greek meal in a lovely restaurant whose name I've forgotten and will probably never go back to. It was very nice though, if you happen to be in Oxford near the venue whose name I've forgotten. Ticket. The O2 Academy, Oxford, there's a Greek place down the road. Very nice, very friendly, very pleasant. Anyway, went to the gig and missed half of Sarah Williams White's set, which is a shame because I really like Sarah Williams White. If you're unaware of her work, check her out online, Sarah Williams White. She did, completely off topic, she did cause me to have a moment of absolute fucking rage last year, not through her own doing. I went to see Dan Lassac do a solo set at the Oakford in Reading, and Sarah Williams White supported, and some of her tracks are not very loud and bombastic. They're relatively subtle and melodious, and a couple of tables of hipsters next to the stage decided to talk loudly throughout her entire set, causing me to grind my teeth to stumps throughout the set, but she was wonderful nonetheless. Anyway, we caught the last couple of her songs, which was nice and awesome, and we caught the entirety of the set by the second support, whose name I've forgotten. I think it might be Itch. I apologise if I'm wrong, which was pretty cool. Not necessarily my thing, but pretty fucking cool anyway. Unfortunately, my friend Emily had knackered her leg through an act of stupidity earlier that day. So we decided it would be wise to not stand near the front, mostly because she attracts flailing idiots. Every time I've been to a gig with her, always end up standing next to someone who has no control of their limbs and will inevitably smack her in the head at some point during the process. It gets very awkward and difficult. So anyway, we went and sat up the back. You know, venue's alright, it had some seats and things. It had some really shitty monitors that you could watch the stage from, so I just watched the stage a bit further away, which worked fine for me. Anyway, it's nice to be comfortable. I'm old. Anyhow, during the process, back up. During the time before we sat down, we noticed that I was possibly the oldest person there, which is saddening. That's not quite true. There were other people in my age range, but few and far between. It was mostly young people, I guess students, to be fair, it was in Oxford. But once we sat at the back, we noticed, a bit more comfortable. There appears to be a little line of people in my age range, all men, all appearing to be around 40 to 45, standing in a line. Didn't appear to know each other, just appeared to have congregated into an area, and apparently I'd been magnetically dragged to that area as well. So anyway, sat there, enjoyed the gig, stuff. Noticed a couple of times that none of them seemed to be enjoying themselves. They were just standing around, looking bored, looking vaguely towards the stage, but in a kind of, and as you would at any gig, you know, there's not really much else to look at. And we decided that they were probably people's parents who'd accompanied them to the gig, which means I'm now in the age bracket of people who accompany people to gigs rather than people who go to gigs of their own volition, which makes me very sad, and also makes me the creepy old man at the gig. did that happen? That's horrible and scary. Anyway, so there's, we assume these guys were accompanying their children to a gig. But having mentioned this afterwards to my friend Phil, actually, he pointed out that it wasn't an under-18s gig. There was booze everywhere. It was a normal gig. I don't know if they allow in under-18s. I guess not. I don't care enough to look it up. But it does beg the question of either the people of Oxford feel they need to accompany over 18s to gigs, which is a bit odd. In it, it's not a violent gig. Scroobius Pip, to use his full moniker, spent a large portion of the event making sure the audience was safe. It's no one's going to get stabbed up at a Dan Le Sac and Scroobius Pip gig. But so either there are people, what's the word? I don't know. Accompanying their over 18 children to gigs, or there's just a weird cult of mid-40s men that like to stand around and look very bored at gigs. I don't know which group I'd rather be in. Possibly the former. I'd rather not be in either, really. I'd rather just be accepted that I like music that's probably a bit too young for me. Does that make me a hipster? Should I be shot in the head now? Probably. It was also pointed out by Emily at one point in the gig that she decided that I'm very similar to Dan Le Sac. I thought, well, that's a nice compliment. Not musically though, just in the sense that occasionally he rambles and then shouts cocks. So that's nice. I was also recently compared to Bill Bailey, not in the sense that I'm funny, just in the sense that I'm hairy and I live in my own world. So yeah. Anyway, if you have any ideas why there are mid-40s men hanging around looking bored at the back of hip-hop gigs in Oxford, please let me know. I'm fascinated. Goodbye.